It started like any other Thursday. The kind of day where the sky doesn't know if it wants to cry or smile, and you're stuck somewhere in between. My wife, Alina, was rushing around the house in her usual frantic energy, tugging at zippers and double-checking her flight info. She was heading to LAX for a week-long retreat, a wellness summit she claimed was mandatory for work. She worked in corporate HR for a global lifestyle brand, and they were always coming up with euphemisms for vacations. "I'll just grab a cab this time," she said, pulling her sleek black suitcase to the door. "No sense in dragging you all the way out there with traffic like this." I offered to drive her anyway, but she waved me off with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Something in her voice was off. But maybe it was just stress. Or maybe it was that we hadn't really talked in days, only exchanged logistics, groceries, laundry, who's walking the dog. She kissed me goodbye, soft and quick. Not passionate. Not even meaningful. It was the kind of kiss you give a cousin at a family reunion. The cab pulled up 10 minutes later. A bright yellow Crown Vic, like it had been transported from a different era. The driver leaned out the window. A man in his late 30s with a messy beard, aviators, and a crooked smile. "You Alina?" he asked. She laughed like he'd told a joke. "Yeah, that's me." She turned back toward me briefly, offered a wave. "I'll text you when I land." And then she was gone, rolling her suitcase toward the cab like she was walking into another life. I didn't think about it again until later that night. I poured myself a drink, clicked through the TV channels, and glanced at my phone. No text. No. Just landed. No. Flight was good. Nothing. I waited. Still nothing. I called her, and it rang until voicemail. Maybe she was just tired. Or maybe she forgot. But the pit in my stomach had started forming before I even realized it. Something wasn't right. It wasn't until 2 days later that I got an answer. And it wasn't from her. Her iPad, the one she used for work and sometimes forgot to log out of, pinged with a message while I was watering the plants. Normally I wouldn't check, but her name flashed with a preview underneath. "You still thinking about that backseat moment? Damn, you made the airport the best stop of my day." The sender's name, Jason, Cab LA. My hands froze mid-motion, the water from the watering can pooling on the hardwood. I tapped the message, half hoping it was some misunderstanding. It wasn't. What followed were 2 full days' worth of messages between Alina and Jason, the cab driver. I read every word like they were written in fire. Descriptions of the heat between them. Jokes about the ride turning into a pit stop for pleasure. He mentioned how she climbed into the front seat before they even made it to the freeway, how she whispered that she wanted to feel something real for once. My stomach churned. She hadn't even made it to the airport before cheating on me. In a cab. On the way to a retreat about wellness and self-care. The worst part? She was the one who initiated it. She had kissed him at a red light. She had leaned over the divider, told him to pull into a dark parking lot off La Cienega. She told him she hadn't felt seen in years. That her husband, me, was a good guy but distant. Said I was too practical, too consistent. I was stability. He was chaos. And chaos was apparently more exciting. I sat there, clutching the iPad like it had betrayed me, my mind racing through every moment we'd shared in the last few months. The coldness in her eyes. The fake laughs. The sudden obsession with solo trips. And me time. It wasn't just the back seat. It was everything. I hadn't lost my wife at the airport. I'd lost her somewhere long before she stepped into that cab. But this was the moment it all shattered. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch with the iPad in my lap, rereading their messages like they might change if I blinked enough. They didn't. Each word etched a little deeper into the bone. each emoji, a wink, a flame, a peach, landed like a punch. By morning, the numbness gave way to a surge of something else. Not just anger. Not just sadness. Something colder. Controlled. Like the moment before a storm. I didn't call her. I didn't send a single text. I wanted to see her face when she walked through that door. I wanted to watch her try to lie to me in real time. So I waited. She was supposed to come back Monday afternoon. Her flight details were saved on her calendar. American Airlines. Landing at LAX at 2:15 p.m. I got there at 1:45, parked in one of those cell phone lots just outside arrivals, and watched the terminal like a soldier waiting for an enemy convoy. At 2:22, she emerged. Same suitcase. Different aura. She wore sunglasses, but even behind the lenses, I could tell she wasn't the woman who had left 4 days earlier. She moved lighter, like guilt didn't weigh anything at all. I pulled up right as she was texting, probably looking for her next ride. The irony wasn't lost on me. "Hey, babe," she said, sliding into the passenger seat. She leaned over to kiss me. I turned my head. "Flight was smooth?" I asked, my voice flat. She paused. "Yeah. Just tired." She talked most of the ride home, about the retreat, the yoga instructor from Milan, the organic meals, the sound baths. I barely spoke. She didn't seem to notice. When we got home, I went straight to the bedroom and placed the iPad on the bed. Unlocked. Screen lit with the last message Jason had sent. "You ever need another airport run, just say the word." Winking face. She stood frozen, her hand still on the suitcase handle. It took her a full 10 seconds before she whispered, "I can explain." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Which part? The part where you cheated before you even left the city, or the part where you made me think I was the boring one?" Tears welled up. She reached for me. I stepped back. "It didn't mean anything," she said. "It was just a stupid moment." "Stupid?" I snapped. "You planned it, Alina. You kissed him at a stoplight. You pulled him off the road. That wasn't heat of the moment. That was a choice." She sat on the edge of the bed, burying her face in her hands. I stood there, watching her sob, but I didn't feel pity. Not anymore. "It's like I forgot who I was," she said through shaky breaths. "Like I was trying to outrun my own boredom. You're so steady, so sure. And I just spiraled." I nodded slowly. "You weren't bored. You were reckless. And you dragged me down with you." There was a long silence. Then I spoke again. "I've already spoken to a lawyer. This isn't something we can fix with therapy or time." Her eyes shot up. "Wait, what? You're ending this?" I stared at her, finally feeling clear for the first time in weeks. "You ended this the second you climbed into his lap." She begged, she cried, she said things like midlife confusion and second chances. But it was all background noise. The kind of static that fills the space where love used to live. A week later, she was gone. I kept the house. Changed the locks. Got a new phone number. Even the dog seemed more relaxed. It's been 4 months now. I still think about that cab ride sometimes. How fast a life can change course. How betrayal doesn't always come with sirens or fireworks. Sometimes it comes quietly, like the closing of a taxi door. But I'm healing. Slowly. I've started running again. I've started laughing at movies. I even deleted the thread from the iPad. Not because I forgive her, but because I'm done carrying her choices. Let her keep the memory of that cab ride. I'll keep the road ahead.